Hello, welcome to episode 2 of the BC podcast. Today we've got Emma Limtek on to talk about cold water therapy and the benefits that it has on the body. Okay, welcome to the BC podcast. This is episode number 2. And we've got Emma Limtek from the Chili Dippers, and we are talking about cold water therapy. Now, cold water therapy, loads of you have asked me before about cold water, the effects it has on recovery, mental health, everything. And I know bits and pieces, but like I've said to you all before, it's always better to get someone else on who has a better understanding, better history, better background to go through all the other bits and pieces. So that's where you come in, Emma. So welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. No problem at all. So as we always start off with who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Where are you from? What have you done? Where have you been? How did you get to where you are now?
Oh, what a story.
There you go.
It's a long story. But to cut it briefly, so I'm from Bolton. I've lived in Bolton most of my life.
Right.
And traditionally a Kid from West Norton. So but yeah, so the Chili Dippers started really naturally and from my own experience, really. So my first sort of getting into cold water therapy, it wasn't really something that I was like desperate to try. It was just sort of petering on the edge. I'd heard about Wim Hof this a couple of years ago. He's got an app that you can download and do the cold showers and things. And I'd heard all the benefits and stuff and was very much of the mindset, oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's not for me. And I was a hot shower, hot bath, steamy. You couldn't see anything, cold. Oh, no person. And just through giving it a go, I started doing a bit of the breath work and tried the cold showers, just turning it cold at the end. And I did it for a little bit and then just petered out. Another 6 months passed. And there was this seed that had been set and it had to be itched properly. So I was like, I've got to try and do this properly. So my sister-in-law was going to see a guy called Kev who runs Breatholution up in Buxton, up in the lakes, and he does cold water like therapy sessions, breath work. He's like a trained breathwork coach, and I knew she was going doing that, and I was quite jealous I wasn't going with her. And I thought, I've got to try this cold shower. So I just banged it on cold, did the breath work, got in fully cold, and it was brilliant. I just was absolutely buzzing after it. I couldn't believe after that first 30 seconds how buzzing I felt. And it went from there. So I had a cold bath. I was like, well, let's try this immersion shebang. It took me about 5 minutes to actually fully submerge the first time I was getting in, but it was brilliant, felt great after, and I was like, I'm going to do this outside. So from some advice from this Kev, my sister-in-law had done it, she'd loved it, she'd been outside and done it wild, and we went up on the moors with my husband for support. And January, 2 degrees, sleeting, windy, wild as hell.
One way of doing it, that isn't it?
Was doubting my judgment, but we did it. We sat there in the sleet. We did the breath work. We stripped off. We got in swimsuits, not naked, by the way. So if I say stripped off, I don't mean skinny dipping.
Oh dear.
And we got in and we did it, and we were in for about 3 or 4 minutes, and it was the best thing I've ever done. It was absolutely brilliant. And as soon as we got out and we were walking back down, all layered up, we had dressing gowns, I had pajama bottoms on. It was just grabbed everything we could take, and we were like, well, we're coming back next weekend, let's do it again. This was instantly, we're like, let's do this again. And that's where it came from, really.
Fantastic.
And it developed from there. So we were going regularly then every week. Then we were like, we need to go more than once. So we were going in the evening as well. After a few weeks, my husband decided to try it and loved it.
Excellent.
And started with the blog. It had such a big impact on my mental health and my sister-in-law. So
Yeah.
I suffered from severe depression about 5 years ago.
Right.
I was still on medication at the time when I started doing this.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law had been going through postnatal depression.
Right.
And we were both much better. We weren't at our lowest points,
Yeah.
but we were still struggling, and there was still a lot of stuff going on. And it just had such a big impact on us. So I really wanted to share that. So did a bit of a blog, got quite a few people then messaging interested, going, oh, could you help us try it? Can you show us? And that kind of thing. And at first I was very much like, no, I don't feel comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about it, I was like, no, actually, I really actually want to help people I was lucky enough that I had my sister-in-law and other people to support us. A lot of people don't. The family or friends are like, you're mad. No, I'm not coming with you.
They do look at it as a mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not the norm, is it, I suppose?
Yeah.
Or what the norm is, because the norm doesn't exist, I don't think.
I know, yeah, definitely. So it was so it came from that want to help other people have the opportunity to try it
Fantastic.
as well. So it went from there. So I did a cold water therapy diploma online and first aid online, and then got a few extra ponchos and some gloves, put it out there on a website. It was like,
let's get going.
If anybody wants to come, I'm available, set it up. And it's evolved from that, really, just this initial putting it out there to actually do proper sessions.
Yeah.
We do the breath work before, we use different essential oils and stuff. It's all about engaging the senses and stuff like that. And just supporting someone's experience and rewilding, connecting with nature, all that kind of stuff.
That's it. And it helps that you've had that benefit from it as well, haven't you? You've had all your own experiences from it as well. And I think that makes a big difference where rather than just thinking, right, I'm going to set as a business, I suppose, a business up to do cold water therapy, right, let's go. You know, it's different to somebody that has actually benefited from doing the cold water therapy. You know, I think you get more from experience from that than what you would from somebody that just decided to do it one day. So
yeah,
it adds a lot more value, doesn't it?
Definitely. And it, like I said, it grew from something. It was never I'm going to do this to have a business, and you know, and it's fantastic. I do it part-time at the moment. And it's just amazing that I'm actually able to do it part-time. I've actually got enough people coming and wanting to have a session and learn about it, that it works. So
that's amazing.
So it started there.
So how long has it been since your first experience with cold water? When did you when was it?
It's been about it's been 18 months, coming up to 2 years.
Right.
I started doing the sessions last May officially. And then it's just grown from that, really.
From there.
And then
that's amazing. That's fantastic. I've had a dabble with it as well. I think I'm like you right at the start. I've had a dabble, especially with the cold shower stuff. Just through what I've picked up online, and you know, Wim Hof as well, and different things like that. I thought, well, I'll try it myself. And I've just not stuck to it yet. And I should do.
That's exactly where I was.
When I have done it for a period of time, like I said to you previously, I do feel better. And I don't know why or what, which we'll get into in a bit. But and it's a strange one. I remember when I was a kid as well. I remember, we'll go on to things to be wary of, but I remember as a kid, we were in the lakes. There's a football weekend away team bonding thing or whatever, and we were doing this stuff in the water. I don't know what we were doing, and I jumped in, and the breath just just left you. And it's frightened me probably to this day as well, to be quite honest with you. Because like I said, we'll touch on this after. There is a lot of things to be wary of as well, isn't there, and make sure you've got certain things in place, you know. So those of you watching and listening, don't just go and jump in a freezing cold lake.
Definitely do not do that ever. Never do that. There's so much, any form of physical activity, as you will know, going for a walk contains risk. You know, you're elevating your heart rate. You've got environmental factors. Everything has to be taken into account. And
that's it.
You know that.
100%. So the main points, obviously, we want to get out of today are the benefits. So I had a good stab at what the benefits were, but I imagine there's probably a massive ream of benefits. Now, we'll start with recovery first, because obviously that's one element I get asked quite a lot, obviously, in relation to physical exercise. Does cold water help recovery? So does it help recovery?
So it definitely does help recovery. So it helps cut down on muscle soreness. That's the main thing. It's the recovery. It's the build up and stuff after the exercise. There's lots and lots of anecdotal evidence and scientific evidence. It's a complete mishmash of everything.
There isn't there, to be honest.
There really is. So what I'm going to say today is based on my own experience, my anecdotal experience, and what I have seen of other people, and some scientific stuff as well. But you just you type it in and so much comes up, and some articles you read are like, oh, not much has been proven yet. Some stuff is, oh, this has definitely been ticked off, this has definitely happens, this definitely, and you're like, what is it? What is it? Definitely. But recovery is definitely one of them. It's just a scientific facts. It's a constriction of blood vessels, which reduces the blood flow, which then reduces swelling and inflammation in that particular area. So it can just be, it's just like the ice packs you put onto a specific area. But obviously if you're doing your like full body fitness things, you're not just working out that ankle, are you? Or that one muscle. It's the entire body. So a cold water bath would be helpful. Now, having the shower as opposed to an immersion, it's very different feeling. So some people love the showers but hate the thought of being fully immersed, and vice versa. The showers are just a no-go, but they love actually being fully in the water. When you get fully immersed, it helps cool the body more effectively and wholly and quicker. So in the shower, you'll have areas of you that won't get super cool, basically. And you can't help but hold some of you out the shower. You can't be fully in it constantly, especially if you're having a wash.
It's kind of localized in a way, isn't it?
So while it's an overall general effect on the body, which is really good and it gets lots of all the inner benefits, the immersion aspect is much better for recovery. So if you've had your legs day, at least try and lower your bottom half into a bath. If you don't, maybe not the chest if you're not really not up for it, but if you can, the whole body, it will help reduce the inflammation in the body. So it is something that does work.
See, everyone, I've been telling everyone that for a while. See? They all think I'm crazy.
Well, there's some debate as well over the cold and hot, like that kind of thing. And again, I couldn't say which one is better, whether it's just the cold or just doing cold and hot. The thing with the cold and hot, though, is that you are doing the cooling very quickly. So if you're going to have a cold bath for recovery, you want to really cool the muscles down. Whereas when you're doing the cold and hot, it's a very short period of cold with a very short period of heat, then cold, then heat. So you're not getting through the muscle layer, you just start touching it. So
touching it on top.
I think that would just be your preference. You'd have to try both really and see what works for you. I think both are effective, but just in slightly different ways.
Of course. Fantastic. So in terms of like a relaxation point of view, so does it help to relax? Does it help you to sleep? You know, what are the ins and outs in that? Because I've seen little bits knocking about here and there, maybe having some, you know, if you are looking at cold water away from recovery, maybe having it close to bedtime would be beneficial to help you relax and things. I mean, what's the truth in all of that? Is there anything in that?
So I never ever thought I would say I find cold water relaxing, but I do. It's the most relaxing thing I've ever done. The release of tension in the body when you get immersed in cold water is amazing. The shoulders drop, all that tension gets out your neck. Normally you would think you'd be hunched up shivering. You're not. Once you get past that breath, and we'll go into that in a minute, you get really good deep relaxation from it. And that's from multiple different reasons. And again, this goes into some scientific, some's anecdotal, and we cover it, get into a bit of mental health here as well and stuff. But it's basically to do with your nervous system. So by doing the breath work as well as the cold water therapy, it helps reset your nervous system. and it gets us into that parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest state, which is where we want to be most of the time. Basically, we want to be out of our fight or flight. We don't need that stress response. This is the relaxed bit, and it goes into the vagus nerve. So when that gets activated, so that is a cranial nerve which connects your brain to your heart, your lungs, your digestive system, and it is central to your overall well-being. And so many different areas of your body. It's just absolutely amazing. Just Google vagus nerve. It just blow your mind. And it's one aspect as well of the nervous system, but it's a very not difficult, but it's good to get it stimulated. And there's lots of like non-invasive stuff that you can do, because previously they have, if someone's got a really like dull vagal tone is what they call it, they'll actually use electrodes to stimulate it properly. So doing other stuff to get a good vagal tone is beneficial for you, sort of all round. But the vagus nerve, it regulates your relaxation and your body's function, which is, it's like, I'm just checking my notes here because it helps to reduce inflammation responses and initiates the release of calming hormones. So when we get in the water, so what's good for the mental health aspect as well is we get an improved stress response. We get an increased release of dopamine, which is a happy hormone, serotonin, endorphins as well. And some of those are beta endorphins, which are central to pain relief as well. So that's another aspect of recovery.
Free drugs, I call them.
It's free drugs. Basically. But all those hormones help relaxation and they help sleep, especially serotonin. And all that combined with that stimulation and getting into that parasympathetic nervous system, resetting that nervous system, gets you to a regulated state, allows for better sleep and relaxation overall. So it really does. It's odd, people say, oh, you have a cold shower at night, and I'm like, yeah, I'll have a cold shower before I go to bed. Even if it's just a quick, I get in and have a quick spray and just have a couple of minutes in. It doesn't have to be a full anything. I mean, in this heat we've had, cold showers I'm sure a lot of people have been trying them anyway, just to cool down.
It's a good excuse then to start, isn't it?
But it does just give you that little click of a reset button. You just feel fresher, you feel a bit more connected, you've got that little hit from having a nice little shower before bed, those nice happy hormones, and you just you get out and just it's that release, that relaxation feeling, which is on a nervous system level, which then promotes good sleep and relaxation and well-being in general.
So what about cold showers in the morning? Would that have, I mean, if you were to recommend a time to have them, when would you, I mean, would it be something you can have it? Obviously you can have one any time of any day, but to get in terms of relaxation and all that kind of things, is it something that could set you up for the day, or is it something more to kind of calm you down at night?
I'm going to be awkward to say both.
I want you to anyway. You like awkward.
Definitely. It is. So sometimes in the morning people can struggle more, I would say, because you're fresh out of bed, you're all super toasty and sleepy, and you probably feel a little grumpy, let's be honest, and you're just like, oh, feel a bit sorry for yourself. Cold showers might not be the thing that you want to do. However, pushing past that little bit of discomfort, that bit of niggle in the mind, and just doing it will add to the overall feeling of it being even better as well. So it may be a bit more difficult in the morning, but it can be even more beneficial, and it definitely gets you set up for the day. I feel fresher, more connected, and just more energized once I've had a cold shower. You want the reset as well from the night. You wake up, you might be grumpy, you might have got out the wrong side of the bed. And it really is one of the greatest reset buttons, whatever state you're in. Hungover, grumpy, tired, sore, whatever.
We've got a few drinkers in this group anyway.
But it does. A cold shower is a brilliant hangover cure. Definitely.
There we go.
Don't go swimming or have a bath
Yes,
if you're
definitely not
hungover, do not
recommended.
do that. But have a cold shower at home,
100%.
and you'll feel much better.
Get into it. One of the big ones is mental health, isn't it? I mean, we touched on that at the start. I follow a few people online that use it as a way to help their mental health. They might not be necessarily struggling with the mental health, but it allows them to kind of keep control of it, I guess. That's probably, I would say, one of the biggest elements, especially for me. I mean, I've got things going on at the moment, and you know, trying to find something to help with that, you know, this has got to be well, I know it is a big part of helping to, I don't know whether it controls your mental health or how, you know, what are the ins and outs there?
Yeah. I think when we talk about mental health, so for me, in my mind, a mental health thing is more of, you've got potentially a diagnosis of something.
Yeah.
So you have anxiety attacks, you've got depression, all the other things.
Yeah.
Mental well-being, your mental mindset is something that everyone has every day. We all have, and that's your constant, and that is struggles, ups, downs, all over the place, circles, squiggles, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff.
It's a broad term, I guess, isn't
it?
Yeah.
So when I say mental health, I'm going to be meaning depression and things like that.
Yeah.
And your mental wellness. So for mental health aspects, there are a few specific things that some research has found. So say with depression, depression, it has some of the physiological effects are an inflammation in the brain, basically. And doing cold water therapy helps to reduce that inflammation in the brain.
Right.
So that's like a direct link with that particular mental health issue.
Right.
It can also help regulate certain hormones in the body. So like we mentioned with different chemicals and stuff, through a small stress response. Yeah. And then the body's natural reaction to that releases certain chemicals and stuff. So if you think you're getting that hit of dopamine and serotonin every morning, that's going to affect the rest of your day. That will affect everything about your day, how you set up your day, just like what you have for breakfast, whether you don't have breakfast. You know, everything, it's that will set you up. So that knock-on effect can have a big impact on different medications as well, in a positive way. So for me, I was on sertraline, which is quite a common antidepressant. Right. And I was on quite a low dose. I've been on it for a couple of years, tried to come off it before. And ended up going back on. Never super high dose. But I'm just putting this in perspective. No, so I was on like a low amount, but through doing the cold water therapy, it just slowly became a thing where I just felt like I didn't need it anymore. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't like all fireworks going off and I'm all better now, you know. Nothing, it's not a magic thing that will just make you better or anything. But it's something that can really support just really support you. But through those changes, it helped me just naturally not need them anymore, and I've not needed to go back on them. And then from the sort of that mental wellness perspective, which is our everyday everything, it's a tool I use to keep me feeling like myself. Basically, it helps keep me regulated,
you in check, kind of thing, I guess.
And it's a good way. So any anxiety that I get, anything that comes up in my life, basically, any stuck feelings, you get those icky feelings inside you, and you get angry for some reason. You're just bloody angry and you don't know why. Usually then it gets taken out on everyone else around you.
That's it.
You get frustrated with yourself, you don't know what's going on, and it just becomes this cycle in your mind then. And cold water therapy can help break that cycle, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Definitely. Because everybody's been there, haven't they?
We all go we all go through so much in our minds. And it doesn't just make you happy. There are times I have had cold bath, or I've been for a swim, been outside, and I feel much better than I did, but I don't suddenly, sometimes I'm not happy for quite a few days, and that's just that.
Of course.
Or I'm pissed off for a few days, and that's that. So but it definitely helps lessen that. And then sometimes
Yes.
it helps me shift it completely. I'll have a quick shower, or I'll have a bath, or I'll go out, and afterwards I'm
It's
like,
press the
oh,
reset.
I feel, proper reset button. So
Yeah.
for actual conditions and for your everyday, it can
Yeah.
really help you manage that, basically, and bring you, I think it's the connection. So the more connection we have with our body, the better care we take of our body.
Yeah.
And that
Massively.
comes into exercise as well.
Yeah.
You know, people can over exercise or hurt the body with exercise, punishment for them, you know.
It is really, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they can overdo it and stuff. And they've, in a way, they've lost that connection. It's getting that good balance of something that's beneficial for you.
Yeah.
And you're looking after it in a kind way, really, rather than it being something that's punishing and hard and harsh. And that can be with the cold as well. So some people think, you know, it's not a competition. It's not who can stay in the longest or who's done the coldest temperature, or it's really not about being harsh. It's just about finding that balance and activating your body's natural responses, which then can improve your life, basically.
Yeah, that's it. It's just using it in the correct way, isn't it? Because too much of any good thing can be a bad thing, can't it? So it's doing things in the right manner and being aware of what it is you want to get out of it at the end. So that's a huge area, I think. I mean, you know, it's, you know, so many people do suffer from different levels of mental health, and I mean, I suppose the side of it where obviously you're doing these classes and things like that, that brings a completely different element into it as well, doesn't it? You know, in terms of a support unit and social, making new friends, you know, all that kind of stuff as well links perfectly into it. So it's a big area.
It's a whole round thing. I mean, as well, with the sort of benefit for mental health and mental wellness as well, it's the improved stress response. So by doing something intentionally, you're intentionally putting yourself through, you know, this kind of stress response. You put yourself into water, your body's going to react and go, excuse me, this is bloody cold, what you're doing. That your body will do that. But with that intention behind it, it really allows us to engage better with that response. So that then affects when you have a stress response in your life, just through any normal daily activities that come up, you're better able to deal with that stress response. It just naturally seeps into everything in your life. Once you start doing it, you'll just notice little changes and different ways you react, or and you'll just start becoming more aware of your body and you in general, which then
we all need to do that, don't we?
Just ripples out and affects all different areas of your life.
That's great. What other benefits does cold water bring? Because I can imagine lift is probably
there are loads. You know, there are definitely.
I mean, we obviously society and all that lot, because it is a popular thing at the moment, isn't it? I don't want to call it a trend, because there's a real reason why we should be using it, but at the moment there seems to be a trend behind it, doesn't it? So the points I've just mentioned there are the main ones, aren't they, that have popped up around it. So what other ways can it be used to help?
So I'm looking at the different effects on the body, which all tie again into sort of that mental health and your vagus nerve aspect, and it's the functionality of the body. So it's like it really helps your circulation. So by the constriction of the blood vessels and that kind of thing, it creates it flushes the body, and it creates certain reactions which then can promote the immune system. So it helps get rid of different bacteria and stuff. So like when I mentioned about the brain inflammation before, it promotes that blood flow into the brain, which flushes the brain of any toxins and any bacteria, which then spikes the immune system, which clears it. And it's just this really big, almost like flush of the body.
Because your body's natural reaction in cold temperatures is to, obviously your body can survive without limbs and things like that, can't it? So it draws all the blood into the organs, doesn't it? So I suppose that's obviously what you said with the constriction of the blood vessels and things like that. And then I suppose then when you start warming yourself back up again, that's when you get that big flush of blood through.
So it's when you get into the cold water, your skin receptors are going mental. they're saying, oh my God, what's going on? And
Yeah.
all the
What are you doing
blood
to-
then just disappears from the skin.
Yeah.
That's where we can start getting into safety stuff as well, which I'll go on to in a bit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that process of that heat and that blood going straight into the core creates like a pooling effect. So you get, when you get in the water, sometimes you can feel quite warm inside. People are like, oh my God, I feel really warm. This is obviously your hands are cold or your feet are cold.
Yeah.
And your skin can be tingly and prickly, depending on the temperature. It can vary. We call it the cold water Tang, which is so the colder the better. Feels much better. But it creates that effect on the body. So your body's trying to keep your vital organs warm and oxygenated and everything. So by that flushing of the system, it's getting your heart is going. So it does affect your blood pressure and it affects your heart. It affects your breathing when you're getting into the water.
Yeah.
All these different chemicals are then released in the body, and it's a whole process then from there. So as you're getting in, it's sort of to do with dealing with that cold water shock, using that breath to get past it. And it's like this amazing sense of achievement that you get from moving past that. You get that calm in the cold, they call it. It's just that chill feeling once you've got past that initial primal response of a cold water shock.
Yeah.
And once you've done that again, that bleeds into the whole, you feel you've got that. I can deal with anything after this. I've just done this. I can do anything.
You've took control of something, haven't you?
Yeah.
A tough situation like that, obviously the natural response is to just get the hell out, isn't it, and get warm again. But yeah, like you said, if you can control that first breath and relax, there's a massive sense of achievement there, isn't there?
Definitely. And that sense of control was one thing that really hooked me in when I started doing it. Just that feeling of, oh my God, I actually did this. I didn't think I could do it, and I did it. I needed that control back. Everything else, not everything else, but lots of other things in my life were completely out of my control. And sometimes you're very aware of that. Sometimes you've got your head in the sand. But doing this really helped me go, oh, I've got control over this. I walk into that water. I get into that shower. I control my breath.
Yeah.
I do this. I choose how I'm going to act. And then that's what I want, these benefits. I've done it. And it was that
sense of achievement. Yeah,
it really was. It was that really helped.
Huge.
So but there's lots of different stuff. So it's your overall mood, it's the sleep, it's the recovery. It's all loads of different aspects of mental health. And there's the whole aspect, especially if you're doing it outside, of being in nature and that reconnection and that time out as well. So we best process things when we're not in our normal environments. So taking yourself out regularly is a really good way of
doing that, isn't it?
Even if you're just going for a walk.
Yeah, of course. So
it's that kind of getting yourself out that comfort zone and just out of your general normal area. So you don't have to do cold water for that, but
it's the comfort. I talk a lot about comfort zones, and it's quite easy to stay inside your little bubble, isn't it? But they always say the magic happens outside of that, doesn't it? So by removing yourself from something or doing something you wouldn't normally do, it's a big thing, isn't it? So how obviously you mentioned showers, like I said before, it's like, well, how do you do it? I know sounds quite simple. Obviously you're getting cold water, but obviously somebody who hasn't experienced anything like this before, probably would they just go straight in and go in an outdoor freeze, really cold lake kind of thing, or would it be something that you build up towards?
So the building up to, it's entirely up to you. That's very individual. Like I said, my first full experience, I had this bath at home and I went outdoors in January. That's definitely up to you on how you want to integrate. So a lot of people like to start doing the outdoor stuff in summer. And we ease as the temperature drops into autumn. It's a nice gradual couple of degrees dropping every few weeks. And then they'll sort of see if they want to carry on over winter. But the simple having the cold showers can just be something that you can start doing And like you say, you can peter in and out of that. So it depends what's really calling to you, really.
Yeah.
And what you can fit in. And it's
It's
around
more
your
accessible,
schedule
that, I
and
suppose,
stuff.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's accessible. You can try it. Again, the showers are very different from a full immersion. So I would suggest to anyone to try a full immersion, definitely. At least do it once and see how you get on, whether it's an ice bath, just a normal bath at home, or going on a session somewhere with, or you can join lots of different groups and stuff as well. But having that cold shower to start off with is a good way, and it's just free and it's at home.
Yeah.
I would definitely suggest with the cold showers is I always start at my feet and work my way up the body. So it's like you're walking into the water and you're building your way up, because when the water hits your chest, that's usually when you get the cold water response. That's the main feeling when it goes on the chest.
Head first.
Don't go head first. Not in the shower and not in actual water outside. Do not go head first. But you can in the shower, you can do whatever you want. But it's nice, I just find that's so nice. I just have I don't have it warm at all. I just have it cold, and I get in and I start at the feet, spray my way up, cover the head, a few nice breaths, and I'm like, oh, I'm fine now. Then I have a shower and wash and stuff. But then some people just turn it cold at the end, have a quick blast. Whatever works for you. So it's just trying it out. Having a cold bath at home, absolutely brilliant. So for a lot of this stuff, I would recommend doing the breath work as well. So it is Wim's Hof breath work.
Yeah.
So on the sessions that I run, I do a version of that. It really helps reset the nervous system. It gets your oxygen and carbon dioxide ratio in your blood to an optimum level. It helps it changes the pH in your blood as well, which can help with inflammation and certain other conditions. It creates heat in the body, so your intercostal muscles, which are between your ribs, by doing part of the breath work, really you do like circle breathing, so it creates a nice fast smooth flow of air of you're expanding your lungs, contracting quite quickly. It creates that heat which goes directly into the core. And it gets you grounded, gets you centered, gets you in a different frame of mind. And that's what you're doing. That's what you want to do. You don't, like with the cold water stuff, it's about that transition from I'm here and I feel like this to I'm here and now I feel like this, which is better than I felt here. Whether it's fractionally, whether it's a massive jump, from groggy morning, I've just got out of the bed, to, I'm feeling quite fresh. What am I going to make for breakfast?
Start the day off in the right way.
So the breath work, I do at least 4 or 5 times a week, whether I'm getting into cold water or not. Sometimes in the morning it might not be practical. If you've not got time, you've got kids, depends on your schedule and that kind of thing. But you can get up, you can just do it for a few minutes before as well. You don't have to do like this full massive breathwork session. Obviously, if you can, fantastic. It's really, really good. Doing it before bed, again, it resets that nervous system. So it gets the day shook off you. It gets you ready to get into that sleep, that parasympathetic nervous system. It gets you nice and ready. So the breath work's really good. So you do the circle breathing, you do breath hold, and then you do like a recovery breath after. So you can get this on the Wim Hof app for free. And if you type it in, there'll be lots of other things you can get online to listen to do the breath work. But doing that really does help getting into the water. So usually, especially if you've never done it before, you're probably in quite an anxious state before you get in the water. Because you're like, what am I doing? What's going on?
Not sure what to expect.
You don't know. And I can say all the stuff in the world about what's going to happen to your body and what you're going to feel.
The only way to really experience it is getting in yourself, isn't it?
It's different for everybody. And it just totally depends what state of mind you're in. So getting yourself just in, even if you can just manage some nice long slow exhales before you get in, just get that system back down again, just feel into the body, connect for just a couple of minutes, then get in, and that'll make a big difference. So definitely recommend doing a bit of breath work before. The baths, brilliant. Just ease yourself in, just put some music on, smell some oils, I don't know, do a bit of jogging, a bit of running, some star jumps, do a bit of breath work, get in that bath.
Burpees,
you'll be buzzing after. You'll feel great. And just ease yourself in nice and steady.
How long would you stay in for? I mean, again, is that something you build up in time, or how long would you spend in the cold? What's kind of optimal, really? Or is there an optimum? I don't know.
There isn't an optimum time. The only thing I would say is you want to get past that cold water shock initial response.
Yeah.
So as you're getting into the water, whether it's the shower or the full immersion, if you're getting in, you get that response, and if you're going, oh my god, no, I can't do it, and you get out, that's it. You've not got the benefit. You've not got it. That's you've been in fight or flight, and you've left, and you're still in fight or flight. You've literally flown. Getting past that point is absolutely crucial. Obviously, if you're feeling massively uncomfortable, you don't feel safe, or you've got any other things coming up, get out. Don't do it. Listen to your body, but also push past. If you know it's just that initial bit, push past it. Just try one little bit more, one more step into that water. Just a bit further. Once you get past, so it's 30 seconds, 60 seconds. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, depends on the person. But controlling that breath, and it's all about the long, slow exhale. So by doing that, you're telling your nervous system that everything's okay. That long, slow breath out resets and tells you, okay, short, rapid breaths, fast breathing just gets your fight or flight going even more, and you get panicky. So it's just really pushing that air out the body, keeping the shoulders nice and loose, and just slowly getting submerged in. And you don't want to drop in too fast, and you don't want to hover about too much, because you'll end up feeling colder. You want to get fully submerged, so your body can just get used to it and just go, okay, this is where we're at now. Let's regulate. But that calm in the cold, once you've got past that breath, it's just such a big release. And it is, whether it's in the bath, whether it's outside, it's just amazing. So that's the only thing I would say, is to try and get past that cold water shock sensation and the breath. For staying in, it's so individual. You can't put a time on it. There is no expectation, and there should never be a set thing that you have to stay in for a certain amount of time. It goes on your body weight, your muscle mass, the air temperature, the water temperature, what you've eaten, how stressed you are, how tired you are, if you have periods or not, are you on a menopause, perimenopause, are you slightly ill, have you got a bit of a cold? Just the list goes on and on. And every day you're a different person. So treat every dip like your first dip. You don't go in, you don't assume. And the more you do it, the more you'll learn what your body's cues are, but always go in gently. Just a few minutes, then get out. See how you recover, see how you feel, and that kind of thing, and ease in. Then you can do a bit of swimming if you want, if you're outdoors and stuff. And it's learning what's normal for you, what's right for you, for your body. So that's a big thing, but definitely just take it nice and easy. It's like anything else, isn't it? That anything new, you just dip your toe in. Literally. There we go. That was really bad, that I apologize. So how often would you do it? I mean, again, like exercise, obviously you don't want to exercise every single day. You need that recovery from exercise. Is it similar, or is it something you can do every day? I'd definitely say it's something you can do every day. It's not like with the exercise thing, it's not got that kind of fatigue effect on the body. However, when it comes to very cold temperatures, so if you're going outside at the moment, or you had an ice bath at home, your sort of normal water temperature won't be too cold at the moment. It's probably above 15 degrees, I would say, normally at this time of year. In winter, you can feel quite fatigued after, especially if you stayed in a little bit too long, because it is a stressor on the body, and your body has to re-warm after. So you've got to take that into account. So you can sometimes feel quite fatigued, especially the first few times you do it. You'll have a cracking good nap after. It'll be brilliant. But it's just taking that. Just you're not assuming anything. And just take it, go with it, take it nice and slow.
Like I said, you learn yourself a kind of thing, don't you? And just a gradual approach for stuff. And then, as obviously, like you say, the more you do it, the more accustomed you'll become to it, and you'll learn more about yourself from doing it as well, won't you?
And like the showers, definitely. So I'll definitely have a shower every day. And I'll either go outdoors and have a dip or a swim, or I'll have a cold bath at home.
Yeah.
And that's my reset. It's my time. That's how I use it. It's just that switch off. Depending on the temperature and how you rewarm and stuff. So sometimes in my sessions over summer, I'll do double dips. So I'll go in the morning and then go in the afternoon or in the evening.
Yeah.
But in winter, I won't do that because it takes my body a lot longer to rewarm fully.
Yep.
And then I have to be fully rewarmed, and it can take hours sometimes when we're looking at 1 or 2 degree water.
Yeah.
And air temperature can get up to like -5 up there as well. So you can be very, very cold after. But you know, you've just got to learn what works for you.
Yeah. Sometimes, so colder isn't always better, is it?
It is in the feeling, definitely, but it can fatigue you. That's all, especially if you're swimming. It takes a lot more on the body. But if you're having showers, the colder, the better, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's a shorter thing. You're not fully immersed. You're not fully cooling the body as much as you would if you were in a bath or you're outside. So it's that kind of thing.
Perfect. So we touched on things before there about like cold water shock, and you know what do we have to be wary of? Obviously, this isn't something that somebody could just go up, you know, on and in Smithles or wherever else on their own, is it? You know, so what things do you have to be careful of? What things would you recommend people being wary of? What should they have in place? You know, what from that approach would you look at? So
definitely always dip with somebody. Unless you've been doing it for ages and you've got a toe float and someone knows where you are and all this kind of stuff. But otherwise, try and be in a group or at least with somebody who will sit at the side, whether they're coming in or not, and be able to support you if needed. So the main things when you're getting in the water, everyone thinks it's hypothermia, especially in winter, but it's actually a cold water shock. So that's your primal base response. You take a sharp inhale of breath when cold water hits the chest. And you can lose control of your breathing, go into a full panic attack. This is all controlled by the breath, by that conscious exhale, and can be overcome for sure. But if you fall into cold water, or so it's not diving into the cold water, even in summer. So unfortunately, especially over summer, we always hear of some deaths in reservoirs and things like this. It's because people think the water is warm, but when the water is very deep, it stays very, very cold. And if your first entry to the water is through diving in and it hits your head or your chest immediately, if your head is underwater, you will inhale water. And then that's that. You've inhaled water. There's nothing else. You're drowning. That's it. So always you want to acclimatize nice and slowly into the water. Walking in if possible, or at least holding on to the side and then lowering the body into the water. Once you've got over that cold water shock, if you want to get out and run and have a jump and then jump in the water, fine. You'll be fine then. But just be really wary. Just try and not do that. Don't really jump in. It's cold water. Just don't do it. So that's the main thing that gets people and actually stops people from getting in. A lot of people say they wouldn't have got in if they didn't have someone coaching them to get through that. Realizing that they can actually do it. Normally you just go, no, I can't do it. You get out.
I'm done.
So that's why the sessions are good that I provide, is that it's that support for you to actually get over that initial hump of that breath, that shock. It's a primal thing we don't feel very often in our bodies. So and then the next one is cold water fatigue. So as we mentioned before, all the blood from the skin is pulled to the core. So you don't get as much blood flow into your muscles in your arms and your legs. So when you get into cold water, you'll feel buzzing, you'll be amazing, start swimming, you're like, oh, this is fantastic, this is great. Oh, blood's pumping, you're feeling buzzing, boom, your arms and legs, you lose the function. It just slowly starts to drop. All of a sudden it'll just hit you. So it's a cold water fatigue. So when you get into any body of water, never ever swim out into that body of water. You stay near the edge, you stay where you can stand up, or you swim in a circle right near the edge. Even if you're a really strong swimmer, the cold water fatigue gets you, it hits you really hard. And if you can't stand up and no one's there or no one can get to you,
then
yeah, big issue.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately what a lot of young people, I'm saying young people, I don't mean to be picking on that age group, but unfortunately it is a
tends
lot
to
of
be
younger people who have gone to reservoirs randomly and jumped in and that kind of thing. They'll swim straight out into the middle of this really deep reservoir, and it might be a bit warmer at the edge, the water, but once they get out, it'll drop. Like it can drop a lot, and then the cold water shock can hit them, the cold water fatigue can hit them, and that's when they get into trouble. And if no one can get to them, then that's that. So that's why a tow float's really important. So even if you weren't swimming out into the middle of the water, even if you just round the edge, still having that tow float or something, or somebody there being able to grab something. It's really, really important that you respect that cold water fatigue, because it hits. It's hard. No matter how strong you think you are, it's the same effect on everybody.
That's the first time I've ever really heard about that. And because I've always wondered, like, well, it sounds a bit naive, but I've always wondered, well, how can people get into those positions where they struggle? And well, that just makes perfect.
You feel great, and I've been swimming, and I feel fantastic.
And then boom.
And there, I'm just like, I'm so tired. Oh my god! And thankfully, I'm right near the edge, and I can just make my way out. And that kind of thing. So,
unbelievable.
So you've got to be careful. And then you've got hypothermia after that, which is usually that's the last likely thing that's going to happen. You'd have to stay in the water for quite some time to actually get full hypothermia. You can still touch and get early onset hypothermia fairly easily, depending on your body mass and stuff as well, and how long you've stayed in and all those variables. So my advice is just to take it really nice and easy. So you just want to stay in for a few minutes, get past that shock, enjoy, have a little swim, depending on where you are and what you're doing, or in the bath, just have 3 or 4 minutes and then get out. And just learn how so it's something called the after drop. So whenever you get into any cold water, so anything under 20 degrees is classed as cold water.
Right.
For the sort of cold water effects, the benefits, you want 15 degrees and under, really. For all the stuff that we mentioned. So if you think your body's 37 degrees, if you get into anything colder than that, if you're in it for half an hour or 40 minutes, that's a long time to be submerged.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's how the body cools. So your skin receptors then tell your brain and the rest of your body, oh, we're in cold water now, so let's restrict our blood flow. Let's preserve our organs. And then the cool, so it's, what was it called? It's called conductive cooling. So because the skin is then super cooled, it cools through to the muscle. And then because the muscles are touching, like it'll just touch the muscle, but it'll carry on cooling through the muscle, and the nerves are touching the muscle, and it'll carry on that way. And it's like when you heat up, you heat from you heat internally first and out. So your skin can stay quite cold for quite some time after. So the after drop means that you will carry on cooling for up to 30 to 40 minutes once you get out the water. So if you stay in too long, you'll carry on cooling. So you might be fine in the water, then 10-15 minutes after, you'll be at your coldest. You'll be colder than you were in the water.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Like, you wouldn't ever.
I know, you don't really.
Anyway, I'd never.
You don't really think that, and people saying, "Oh no, I can stay in a bit longer. I feel great. This is really good." And you're like, "We're going to get out now. We need to get out now." Let's until you get really confident. You've got a lot of experience on how you're going to feel once you get out. Depending on the time of year and how cold the actual water is, the air temperature. Some people, you've never felt that cold in your entire life. It can be quite a shock.
Massive.
If you're not used to it, especially like during the winter months. So it's always best to be cautious with that.
Definitely.
And you want to, I mean, it's different for everybody, but you want to get out the water when you are still feeling very good and very warm in your core. Some people shiver at different levels. Their thermal regulation is different. So shivering is one of those. It's a natural good thing that your body does to rewarm. So some people, as soon as they get outside and it's cold, they shiver, and some people don't shiver at all. So it just depends. So that's something you need to learn what's normal for you, really. And that's something that you'll do with time. So those are the 3 main things, but that after drop creeps up. So it's always taking layers, even in full summer. It's, you know, you need to take your hat, your scarf, your gloves.
Yeah.
You need lots of base layers, nice thin layers, loose clothing.
Yeah.
You want a windbreaker, at least if you're not taking a big coat in summer. I'll always take some kind of like windbreaker jacket if I'm outdoors.
Yeah.
Even if it's really nice and sunny, because you can stay in for a lot longer, but you then cooling. So it's just that effects on the body.
Yeah.
And depending on how stressed you are, or tired, what you've eaten, all this kind of stuff, it has such a big effect on how you deal with the cold. Some days I could stay in for ages and I feel fine after. I feel great.
Yeah.
Some days 4 or 5 minutes, even when the temperature's much warmer, and I'm like, I'm done today. I'm feeling this today. I've enjoyed this. I want to get. I'm done now.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't want to overdo it. It's about enjoying it. And
yeah, that's it. It's not. There's no competitive element to it. It's
and everyone's different on every day. So it's not that comparison with, oh, I stayed in for 10 minutes and it was 10 degrees.
And now I'm going to do 11 minutes next time. And then you can't have that.
Not about that. Yeah. It really doesn't work, and it's not safe. It doesn't do you any good. Once you've got past, so when you're looking at under 15 degrees and you're getting that cold water benefit, you don't need to stay in for more than a few minutes really to get that effect on the body. Staying in is just because you're enjoying it and it's nice and you're having a swim or, you know, you're floating and that kind of thing. And you don't want to take that away by overdoing it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And just, it's having that healthy respect for the water, for the cold,
your body and
your body. Yeah, definitely.
Massive.
So, but nothing beats doing it outside and being outside, being on that same level as the water, the views that you get. It's that wonderment. You just filled with awe, but also madness at the same time. What the bloody hell am I doing up here?
You could literally be anywhere as well, couldn't you?
Yeah,
I think that's a good point, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a really freeing. It's just fun, and like I said before about the community aspect as well. And you know, there's lots of different groups you can join in Manchester and where we dip regularly as well. Up at Smithles, and some people are really comfortable just joining a group with random people and doing it for the first time. Some people aren't, and that's why I like provide the sessions and stuff, because they can feel a bit embarrassed or not sure how they're going to react, or they're doing it an experience with a friend and they want to enjoy it together for the first time and that kind of thing. So I know on the first time I did it up there, I wouldn't have wanted to be in a group of people I didn't know.
Of course.
I felt very uncomfortable. I didn't know how I was going to react. And it was that kind of, it just depends on where you're at, what you're comfortable with. So there are lots of other people you can see up in the lakes. There's lots of other wild swimming experiences that you can go on. And I want to just express as well that it's not about swimming. So you'll see lots of things, swimming this, swimming that. And obviously swimming's great, fine. We do it for lots of different reasons. But it's that getting in that water. That's the main thing. It's the dip, it's the experience, it's being outside, that exercise, because it's a nice walk up to the water that we do. And it's all round, and you don't need to be able to swim to experience this outdoors. You don't have to go off with a toe float and swim. You can just be still. You can just swim in a little circle, move your arms, float. I mean, it's just amazing floating, looking up at the sky.
Just looking, that's it,
with no lanes that you have to swim, and
no one trying to avoid.
No one trying to splash you, getting past you, and you're like, oh, I just want to flow and dick about.
That's it,
So that's a really freeing aspect of it as well. So
that's brilliant.
Sort of stuff wise, you don't need loads of kit as well to do it. The main things, so on the sessions I provide like a neoprene gloves to wear in the water, so they just help take the edge off, because your extremities obviously go first. You don't need them in winter. Highly recommend them, but in summer you don't necessarily need them. But again, they just help alleviate any anxiety as well people sometimes have, and it's that extra, I've got these to put on, so that helps. And it does help just take the edge off.
More of a comfort thing, isn't it? Maybe.
And it's the sort of changing, so it's just a towel poncho, they call them, and it's microfiber. And you can pop it straight on when you get out the water, and then get your swimwear off underneath in dignity. And you've got a windbreaker, and it gets you dry. You can get changed nice and quick. Those are the main things that I would recommend.
Things that you would need.
But something I didn't mention then actually about the sort of when you're getting out in that rewarming process, you want that to be a nice gradual thing.
Right.
So because you've been fully submerged, you've cooled the muscle.
Yeah.
You're going to carry on cooling. If you just got into a hot shower or a hot bath or a really hot car even, you can tell your skin basically says, oh no, we're warm now. So we can stop the rewarming process internally.
Okay.
Which then can make you actually feel much colder. After you carry on in the after drop. So you want a nice gradual rewarming, the layers, etc. But having something to eat after, if you can have a hot drink, fantastic. But sugar actually elevates your temperature.
Right.
So having something sweet after would be ideal. So if you are dipping elsewhere, have some kind of, you can have a nice, it could be a banana, it could be an apple, something healthy, or a naked bar or something like that. Or a bit of chocolate.
Hey, nothing wrong with a bit of chocolate.
But just something, you can feel a bit wobbly after sometimes as well. Nice so it's good just to have something just to fill you, just a little snack or something after. But so that's kit wise. That's the main things really. It's good to time yourself and to check the temperature. But if you don't know those things, it's not too bad. They just help inform you. So then the next time you do it and the next time you do it, you're gathering this nice picture of information then.
That's it, exactly.
It's that temperature and the air temperature's this, and it was really windy and I felt like this. And
you build a better picture then and you know what you can and can't do, or how far you can do things, can't you?
So you can get watches off Amazon for like less than a tenner that are waterproof and just have a stopwatch on, so you can have it with you.
Perfect.
And little temperature gauge as well. You get them off the like fish tank ones, which are good. Digital, just chuck a little bit in the water.
Whack it in.
Just be wary though that around the edge of any body of water, it'll be a lot warmer than it will be in the middle. So I'd take off a few degrees off what temperature that says. To then if you were going deeper into the water. So
fantastic. Loads of knowledge bombs there.
Sorry,
No,
I'm just like,
no, it's brilliant. I could sit here and just listen all day. Have I missed anything major out there? Anything more you want to add?
I think that's most of it. I mean, I've definitely probably stuff we've not mentioned, and like I said, there's lots of other information out there, and other people have different stories and things. But from the experience that I've had and what I've researched and what I've read and listened to myself, it's just all about easing into it, making sure you do your own research. So it can really affect your, like I said, when you get in, it affects your heart rate and your blood pressure.
Blood pressure as well,
So like you said, well, we said right in the beginning, any physical activity that you do, there's a risk with absolutely everything that you do.
That's it,
And one thing that I ask people to do is to fill out a health questionnaire to assess their level of fitness and where they're at, if it's got any health issues, and also to lay out the risks of what could actually happen on the session. So I would highly recommend anybody to do their own research, speak to a healthcare professional, because I am not a healthcare professional. Anything that I have said today, I am not a healthcare professional. It's what I have read and what I understand
it's
from
all,
it.
Exactly. It's an informative piece, and it's
definitely. So I would really, really recommend, if you've got any doubts whatsoever and you've got any health condition, speak to your GP, your consultant, and just ask them, because there's some stuff that's come up over the course of me doing it. And I've thought, oh really? They've said they can't do it because of that. And then I'm like, oh, well, and then I've done a bit of research. And through this, I've learned a lot about different health conditions and the effects. And there's so much I don't know. There's so much we all don't know about the effects of cold water. So
and you should never know it all. It's one of them.
There's always something new, definitely.
There's always something new. There's always something you can learn. Anyone that ever says they know everything
is a no. So it's so please do consult a healthcare professional before you enter into cold water therapy. Definitely.
There we go. I think that's a good place to end there as well.
I think that's pretty much
that is amazing. I mean, I think we've covered every single point. We've covered everything that we've had on here anyway. So
off your whiteboard.
New whiteboard. I wasn't going to show anybody that.
I have to show them now.
those not watching and listening, I have a big whiteboard with everything written on it.
All questions.
My only way to get through. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I've learned so much from that anyway. It's not, like I said at the start, it's an area that I've always wanted to know a little bit more in. Like I said, I knew a little bit, but I'm one of those that will always stay in my lane anyway. But yeah, I've always been aware of little bits and pieces there, but I don't think anybody who hasn't experienced it like you, anybody new to it, will have definitely learned God knows how much from that. So
hopefully, yeah,
that was absolutely perfect. Thank you very
support,
much.
definitely.
And
if anyone has any questions as well, I'm sure you can put my email and
yeah, well, I'm gonna
my Instagram stuff in the show notes or whatever you do.
Yeah,
and
so YouTube,
feel free to get in touch.
YouTube, I'll put all the links below, and then if it's on Spotify or anything else like that, it'll be within the the show notes anyway. So I'll put all Emma's information there. So please go and follow it on Instagram, on FaceTube, on TokTik, as I call it, whatever the trends are at the moment. Then please go and follow her on there as well. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much for opening up as well, for going into a bit of detail on your personal, approach to this as well. Because I do appreciate that, and I know that will relate to a lot of people out there as well. And go and give it a try, everybody. I'm definitely going to do it now.
Yes, definitely.
So definitely go and give it a try. Even if, like Emma said, even if it's just in the shower, just go and try it and feel the benefits for yourself. Because I'm sure it's one of those things that once you have benefited from it and you do see the benefits from it, you'll carry on doing it after that. I'm sure you will. So yeah, Emma, thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving up your time to do this tonight.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And no doubt we'll catch up soon. In fact, I'm going to come along at some point.
You are? You're going to come on one of our group dips?
I am going to come, and I'm going
to message you directly and give you a
bit
date
of a
and time.
Are
you going to be there?
We'll get something done, definitely. But yeah, Emma, thank you very much.
Oh,
and
no
we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. See you.
See you later. Bye-bye.